Okay, hey everybody, welcome back. This is my show, Voices of Courage Walk the Talk, and I'm Brandy J. And this is my guest today, Dean Rahaman. How you doing, Dean?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me. And well said on the surname. A lot of people get it wrong.
I was like, oh, I was trying so hard because I usually do. Yay for me. Okay, and so Dean, you have a business coaching for men.
Yes.
Okay, and you 15 years experience with fitness.
Yep.
During that time, I guess you probably, well, I'll let you tell the story of how you came about doing what you do.
Okay. So my story as to kind of where I'm at now actually started back in 2006. I was working a job that wasn't giving me much in the way of mental stimulation anymore. And I thought to myself, I need to use my brain again because I hadn't used my brain since college. And I thought I need something to turn my gears again. And I thought, right, what can I learn about that I find fascinating, and also what can I make a little bit of money at? And for me, I've always had an interest in sports. I've always had an interest in how the body works. So I thought, become a personal trainer. So I did that. I got certified as a personal trainer. Went to work in the gym and almost got fired from my first job because I didn't get enough clients. So that was interesting. I then went on to do reams and reams and reams of study into uh, how the body actually moves in terms of like joints, muscles, and what inhibits certain movements from happening within the body. I then did a mad binge on nutritional knowledge and nutritional consulting. I then did a lot to do with like sales training because I was terrible and I was petrified of sales because I didn't get into the health business to become a salesperson. That's not why I did it. But unless you can become a salesperson, you don't get clients. It's as simple as that. So I then went on a big binge into how to actually sell. And then I did study into biochemistry, fat loss, hormones, endocrinology, more psychology in terms of change and why people form the habits that they form. I then went through a lot of personal trauma and turmoil that led me to seek out a men's support group. And when I found a support group, the guy who was running it, I saw through his BS straight away. Straight away, I thought the way that you feel you need to connect with me is to tell me that you've gone on a date with a woman 25 years younger than you. But I don't care. I haven't come here to listen to you brag about your dating achievements. I've come here seeking help and I've come here to seek support. And he didn't provide that. And I saw through it straight away. And the third and final session that I went to the group support meeting, we had a huge coming together because I could see that all he was doing was just asking questions and he wasn't actually helping people find results. Men are, we're very simple creatures. Like, we will ask a question and we want an answer of what to do. We don't ask a question and then want a load of questions back. And because this guy wasn't supporting the men, that's when I thought there's there's just no resource for men to go to actually find information about weight loss, about emotional trauma, about childhood trauma, about neglect, about abusive partners, about how to actually be a happy modern man. Like there's no resource for that. And I'm not saying I'm in a position where I'm totally 100% in that guru. I don't like the term guru, but the way that people view a guru, I'm far from that. Like, I have not reached enlightenment. I'm not a full-on expert, but I have a lot of applied knowledge in how the body works, how the brain works, and how the mentality of a man also works. So I thought, you know what? Let's put the last 15 years of accumulated study and accumulated knowledge and applied knowledge into one place, and that is how Coaching for Men was born.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
a long story, but there you go. Sorry.
That's cool though how you saw that need by the lack of, of it while you were seeking it. You're like, I'll be that.
And you know what? It's one of the things that one of my mentors said to me is, if that space isn't there, if that resource isn't there, be the resource.
Yeah,
Ah, okay.
yeah, smart.
This is cool. This is cool. Yeah, that works and that fits.
Yep. Had me over here thinking, I'm like, if that's the case, I need to put myself in a lot of positions, Presidents, like, no, I'm
Well,
playing.
I'm not being funny, but I don't think there's enough money in the world to have that job.
Not at all.
You can't do right from wrong. Like, doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to do wrong in somebody's book.
Yeah. Special kind of medication for that job.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man. So how did you, okay, so when you decided that's what you were going to do, what was your like first step? Because I'm sure you already had the people to, the audience, the market that you're going to market to, because you were already around in your field with the fitness and all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure that was already there. You just had to come up with
Yeah,
a
well,
game.
what I did was, yeah, so I applied a lot of the, like, essentially just business basic fundamentals, like who are my current clients. And when I actually analyzed my current client base, they were all guys. And I was like, okay, there's, like, green light number one. Like, what are my clients trying to achieve? And they were all trying to achieve the same thing, which is increased confidence through better body shape. And then we looked at, right, okay, what kind of professions do my clients work in? And I was like, okay, they're all of a similar mindset, and they're all of a similar kind of career level, which is either a project manager, a senior executive, or a business owner. And all three, like those three demographics of people, covered my entire client base.
Mm.
So I thought, right, okay, that's where we go, that's where we target. So when I started writing blogs for the Coaching for Men page, it was like floodgates opened, and it was so nice to actually write for people who I wanted to write for, rather than trying to create stuff for everybody, to actually find a real genuine micro niche of, I am going to target 30 plus, or 27, 28-year olds plus, who have their own business, or they are in a senior management position, or they are of that project manager, super logical, super analytical mindset. These are the people that I'm writing for, and these are the people that I'm targeting. So I applied just basic business fundamentals into my business, which was really taking off. And then there was a small thing called COVID came along and kind of put the kind of put the brakes on. So because it was in its infancy, I didn't have enough of an online following yet to translate that into an online business. But what I've done is I've created a pool of people who have just kind of come together, and actually, so I've got a closed Facebook group, and within that closed Facebook group, we exchange ideas, we exchange concerns. I've created a zero judgment zone where it doesn't matter what concern, problem, question you have that goes out to the group. Under no circumstances are you to judge that man. Like, you do not do it. If I see that you're judging somebody, you're kicked out the group. Like, it does not happen. So it's a very, very safe space. And it's
Cool.
amazing the men that have actually opened up in there. And it's surprising how frequently the same kind of things keep coming up. Really surprising.
Wow. Cool. Okay. So you guys are pretty, that's good that you have that there so they can, because it's not, we know that's not easy for men to like open up and,
Oh,
and
and British men are terrible. British, do you know what, until you get a few beers into British men, they're terrible.
well, that's great that you keep that, you cater to that, that need to feel safe and to be able to, be to express.
It's important because we don't like through part of my journey, I went to a spiritual healer, and she said to me that I'm far too focused in my masculine based energy, which is super analytical. It's very process driven, and it's very much here's the cause, here's the effect, here's what I need to do about it. And there was no space within that for joy. There was no space within that for just being in a moment and just taking a moment for what it is. And it turns out, so this first spiritual healer, she said to me, you're completely ignoring and suppressing your female energy. Like you're just not allowing that trust to come to the surface. And then I went to a different healer, and she was a I don't know if you've ever heard or followed Dolores Cannon. You've heard of
No.
her? So she pioneered a hypnosis technique where she would get somebody into a hypnotic state and have them go through their death experience. And by doing that, it would allow the subconscious to actually come to the surface. And she would actually talk to somebody's subconscious self, right? And I went to a UK based practitioner who did this. And she said exactly the same thing to me is you are very, very masculine in your energy, which is why you always analyze, you never enjoy. I was like, okay, so that's one person in London who's told me this, and that's one person on the South Coast who's told me this. There's definitely something in it. So then I
Yeah.
looked into, how to be in a moment, how to actually engage with yourself and actually allow yourself to just enjoy a moment rather than analyze a moment.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many men are actually pressured into saying, "Oh yeah, I like that. That's all right." They never say, "Oh, I feel that this is upsetting me for whatever reason. I feel that this is making me amazing for this." Very rarely do you get men who actually start sentences with I feel. It's mostly I think.
It's
And
true.
this is a trend that I've whenever I spot myself doing it, I have to tell myself, wait a minute, what's the difference between how you're thinking and how you're feeling, and which is the right approach to this certain situation?
Hmm.
And it's a hard habit to break, very hard habit to break.
Very true. I didn't think about that now that see, and for women, we don't even realize that you guys have those like. Of course, we know you guys have feelings and all that stuff, but like you have those, where you're human, but like those things that like just like saying, I feel, being able to kind of like let loose and just say I feel, because I guess one thinks that if you say it like that, you're letting go in a way like of your, you know, I feel, because I guess we labeled that as a woman thing or some kind of feminine when you start to feel
Yeah,
something.
it's letting your guard down. And the message that we get as men from a young age, or the message is changing now a little bit, but the message that I know I certainly received growing up in the 80s was, you know, men are men. Like, Rambo's a man, you know, Schwarzenegger's a man. Like, I grew up with the action heroes. Yeah, like He-Man was on the telly, the Thundercats was on the TV. you know. So you have these like huge, stacked out, super masculine guys, and it was always, yeah, I'm going to save the day. I don't really have emotion, but I'm going to save the day anyway because that's what I do because I'm a man. So you grow up with that image as a man, and you never get taught how to feel anything.
Yeah.
You know, you always get taught, and particularly like a very, very British attitude is, oh, stiff upper lip, just carry on, you'll be fine. And to be fair, it's something we do very, very well. Is we do find a way through, but what I found is in a lot of men is that then suppresses a lot of their true desires. And when you suppress desire and when you suppress your need for fulfillment in whatever field of your life it's in, whether it's in career, whether it's in your love life, whether it's in your own personal development, if you're suppressing a need for something, you then begin to resent whatever it is that you've held in such high esteem. You're considering their judgment or that other person's judgment of you over the thing that you actually desire, and then you start resenting the person that you know has that opinion. And it's that internal conflict in your head that I'm trying to get people to break. And don't get me wrong, I still struggle with it to this day, but I've got a lot better at actually expressing myself and actually saying, do you know what, that your suggestion is fine, but your suggestion is not going to serve me as a person. It's not going to make me happy. And I'll tell you why it's not going to make me happy. And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah. That's
And it's hard. And the this is my journey at the minute, is being able to tell people why I won't do something. Because if I don't feel it's going to benefit me, I don't see why I should have to do it. Like if I want to help somebody because I feel that they need it and I genuinely want to help them, I will be the first in the line with my hand up saying, let me help, dude. Let me help. And if people ask me for a favor, I will bend over backwards to help them. But if it creates a conflict within myself, I am now getting to the point where I'm like, you know what? I appreciate the fact that you've asked me, but I can't do that because it's just not gonna. It just conflicts with my values, and I can't. I can't commit to
mhm. I like
that.
that because it reinforces you talking about your feelings, but it also shuts that person down. From like, why won't you do it? Because you
Yeah,
just told.
yeah, and this is like so. This is what I'm finding, like, that the art of communication, once you start to look into it and once you start to understand it, it's an incredible thing. Because I used to be one of these people that, and I still am, like I hate conflict. Like
Me too.
I'm not a fan of conflict whatsoever. Like I've always been a lover, not a fighter,
Mhm.
which is bizarre because I have an undefeated kickboxing record. But that was sport. It's a little bit different. Um, yeah, I was never good at conflict, and I would always opt for being silent as opposed to actually saying what I should have said and saying how I feel. And what I've come to learn now is that when you say nothing, you actually don't help anybody because you're not communicating any type of, if I give you this, you can give me that, and then we can both move forward. If you just say silent, like the other person has absolutely nothing to work with to try to resolve any sort of situation. And it's difficult because it's easy for tempers to escalate, really easy for tempers to escalate, and then it becomes a shouting match, and then it becomes very emotionally charged.
Yeah.
But you're not emotionally charged from a place of love. You're emotionally charged from a place of, I'm going to drill my point into you because I believe my point is right. So I'm just going to shout over you until you bow down. So if you've got two people who are like this and they're just getting louder and louder and louder and conflicting, yeah, that whole energy range, it just doesn't mean anyone can move forward. And it often starts by somebody staying quiet and staying silent and not expressing how they feel. Whereas if they expressed how they feel from the beginning,
Mhm.
it's a different story.
Yeah,
Totally different story.
that's true. And so many people like steer away from like communication. It's like the thing not to do. Oh, great, she wants to talk or he wants to talk. But then either way it goes, you're just going to end up talking, but not really. You're going to yelling. So if you would have just talked first place, then, you know.
Yeah, that like conflict resolution doesn't have to be a thing. If you just start talking from the beginning, and it's the same in business as well. Like if you set expectations and communication standards early in business, there should never be anybody trying to screw over anybody when it comes to business. Like, partnerships should work in harmony. If everybody communicates from the beginning, it makes it so. I've just started a partnership with a new company now, and we've all sat down and we've all communicated how we feel about stuff, and we've all communicated what we expect each other to do in order to move the collective vision forwards. And we've said, like, from the beginning, nobody is to shout at anybody. If anybody raises a voice, like, you can just take a time out. And the way that we've set it up is that if you don't feel somebody's pulling their weight, you can express that in a way that says, look, here's what I've seen you do, but here's what you said you would do. So here's what you've said, here's what you've delivered. Yeah, can you explain what's happened in between? Like, if something's happened in between, is there anything we can help with? And this is the culture we've created within this small little team. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful space because nobody's on anyone else's case. Everybody is open to asking everybody else for help. And I've never worked in a team like that before.
It's
And
awesome.
it's a little bit frightening because it's a harmonious space, and when you're not used to a harmonious space,
Yeah.
your conditioned brain freaks out, and you're like, why is there no conflict here? Like, what? This is weird.
Yeah.
But again, that's analyzing and not enjoying. So this is where like, I'm trying to break that habit of saying, look, stop analyzing this. Like, just enjoy the fact that it's a good place to be.
Right.
So I have to continually train myself to do it. And this is what we talk about in our groups as well is, how do we enjoy a moment? How can we just get lost in a moment and stop analyzing?
Right. That's a good one. I know a lot of people like that. Especially men, that are men, and it's kind of like everything's trying to figure everything out and stuff. And it's like, I'm like, well, how about we just have fun? You think? you know, like that's what I feel like missing that whole like I said in the moment that part there, you're like analyzing like this and I used to have a hers and his podcast, and so we would talk about like relationships and all that stuff, and but we would never throw in the part. We'd go from what the don'ts and the do's and what I'm not gonna do and what this and that, but we never talked about the good stuff. I'm like, what about just having fun and just letting go, and then you know see what happens. But yeah, that's me. So I guess with the fellas, like when they came, you said okay, you said COVID hit, and so kind of put a dent in it. But when you were starting out with the guys, did it seem like as they all needed the same thing? Like, how did you go about figuring out who needs? Because I'm pretty sure like that they all kind of need deal with all the things like depression, the body weight, relationships, well, just like an all around, all about thing.
Do
Just
you know what? One thing that surprised me was men's lack of self confidence. And something across the board that I've seen over 15 years worth of personal training is, unless I'm dealing with a, an athlete specifically, every single one of my clients, whether they've been male or female, are always after the same thing, which is improved confidence and improved self-esteem through aesthetics. And somehow they seem to have this correlation that if I have the perfect body, I'm going to be super happy and super confident. And I'm like, well, it's it's one part of the formula, but what's not making you happy right now? And like my consultation process is 2 hours long, and I've had people walk out of my consultation. I've had people slam their fists in anger. I've had people slam doors and just leave just leave the studio, um, because I don't accept what I call half answers. Like I will drill down into what is your core reason that you're seeking change. And once I find that core reason, bang, that's it. And as soon as I find out that core reason, it's easy to put a plan into place. But because people are, they can be a little bit defensive when they're meeting somebody for the first time, they don't always want to let their guard down that much and say, yeah, so once I've got into the reasons, I've had lots of them. I've had women that have said like their husbands have cheated on them. I've had guys that have said, their best friend has just got shredded and they don't want to be the fat guy in the group anymore. I've had guys that have said their brothers or their friends, whatever, have had heart attacks and they don't want to be fat to get a heart attack. I've had other guys that have come to me because they are properly clinically depressed. So I've had to work with their GP or their therapist to say, right, okay, what medication are you putting them on? Because that medication needs a certain type of training. If I smash them too hard in their training, it's going to drop their serotonin levels way, way, way too far. And I don't want them to then be taking double the amount of antidepressants because their workout's been too hard. So I have to find out the dosages and this kind of thing. So to answer your question, I do this a lot. You'll ask me a question and I'll explain a lot of nuances around it, and eventually I'll come back to the answer. Yeah, the depression is massive. It's huge, and it's more widespread than I gave it credit for. And I thought give it credit for is the wrong phrase. It's more widespread than I'd initially thought.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I'm noticing is that more and more men are also recognizing the signs and symptoms of depression.
Mm-hmm.
But here is where my issue lies, is every single sign and symptom of depression is identical to the signs and symptoms of low testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're presenting a low mood, a low libido, low energy, you just can't. Someone might give you one of the best offers in the world. You're going to go and see your favorite sports team in the hospitality in the hospitality unit. You're going to go and meet all the players after the game. You don't have to pay for food or drink. You're going to get a signed jersey after the game. Someone who's depressed will be like, oh no, because then I need to get up and then I need to go out and then I have to where, and they'll find every excuse in the book not to go. Someone who has low testosterone will tell you exactly the same story. And you're getting a lot of men at the minute who are getting diagnosed with depression when they should be getting tested for their testosterone levels. And this is a big issue right now, huge issue, because you have misdiagnosed depression. So then you're getting guys that are being put onto antidepressants, and that's messing around with the chemicals in their brain. It's messing around with the chemicals in their gut. And when you start messing around with those levels, things start changing in the body and it just messes guys up.
Yeah.
And then they wonder, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I'm taking these antidepressants and I still feel like shit. Like, what's happened to me? And so they go back to the doc and the doc gives them a stronger prescription
Mm-hmm. Yes, they
for
do.
stronger painkillers and makes the problem 10 times worse. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not testing these men for low testosterone? And it's a legit thing right now that testosterone replacement therapy has to become less stigmatized. No one bats an eyelid when a woman goes through the menopause. She says, "Oh, I'm going to go on hormone replacement therapy. I'm going to start taking estrogen because my symptoms are just horrendous." Everyone's like, "Oh, good for you. Well done. Brilliant." If a guy says, "Oh, I'm gaining weight, I'm losing strength, I just can't be asked. Like, I'd rather cuddle than have sex, and I'm going to go on testosterone replacement therapy." Oh no, don't do that. Oh no, because that's what bodybuilders do. Oh no, don't do that because you'll get roid rage. Oh, it's so demonized. It's unbelievable, and
Yeah.
it, it it shouldn't be. And this is something else we talk about in our groups as well. Is what are all the signs and symptoms of low testosterone compared to depression, and
Mhm.
how do you find out? And it's a minefield out there, absolute minefield.
No, it's crazy you say this, right? Because I, for years, just up until not that long ago, had been depressed, diagnosed with depression and anxiety. But I
Mhm.
originally, had anxiety, but when I went to the doctor, they told me that I was depressed too because they go hand in hand. So I was like, okay, say so, but okay. So I went on that journey, thinking I was depressed. And so it really started to take hold of me because I would go into these things, and then I thought it was a thing because people were like, "Oh, you're depressed." I was like, "Yeah." So, just excuse me if I seem a little distant. What happened? I'm thinking like nothing. I was like, "No, I just go through this sometime. Just it's a thing. I'll get over it. I'll get through it." And it was just kind of weird. People's responses like, "It's okay. We all have our demons." And in my head, I'm thinking like, "I don't have a demon. I'm just depressed. It's a thing I have. I don't know why." You know. So that just was what happened, and they had put me on medications, and like the one I did have, I would I would take it accordingly. I would take it at night because it helped me go to sleep because I would like wake up middle of the night and just think, or like stay awake and just things ran through my head. And then I went back and that was like a controlled substance, so that I wanted something that wasn't, so they gave me something that wasn't controlled, and then that was fine. It was actually nice. But then I got a raise, I think it was at work or something. And so I couldn't afford it anymore. I didn't have health care anymore. So I was like, ooh. So it's been a few years since I had taken anything for the anxiety, depression. And I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, it's not gonna be good. Then I started thinking, I was like, well, I've been good for this long. I guess I just y'all dry run it. So I'm thinking I got depression, anxiety, and I'm just out here dry running, kind of like an alcoholic that's like not going to meetings, but they're just not drinking. I mean, they're just winging it. Like I don't know how long I'm gonna last. But when I met someone just last week, um, we, I met him through the same the pod booker, and we had a meeting before the interview, and all I did was tell him really quickly. I was like, yeah, I had depression, anxiety, and then he kind of, rewinds back. And then we start talking about that depression, anxiety, and at the end of it, I completely realized that, and I say this because maybe this could be something to think about that can help you figure out testosterone or depression. Because with him, because he lost his brother committed suicide. And I think that's where his journey began. But he
Mhm.
realized through a lot of research and just a lot of just discovery that it was all about perception. And he just like broke it down, and he was just like, do you ever really hear anybody going around talking about, oh, just so happy today? And I just, the way we talk about depression, like he's like, everybody gets like sad and have these things, but do you hear anybody ever talk about their happiness? Like, oh, I'm
Well,
just too happy.
why do you think the news only ever reports bad stories?
Right.
The
It
news
gets to you.
never report anything good. Like I pay zero attention to the media. I pay zero attention to the news
Yeah, I don't
because
watch that.
it's it's depressing.
Yeah, and they
It's like,
do that to
oh,
like feed your fear and your anxiety and get you all,
yeah, and
purposeful.
it's like this whole like like I refuse to call social distancing anymore because there's nothing social about it.
Mhm.
Like we are by nature, we are community based
Yeah.
beings. Like we need interaction. We need other people. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, like technology has been incredible to keep people connected in, I mean, in the UK, like the first lockdown we had in the UK was a proper lockdown. Like very few people actually went out, and
Uh-huh.
instances of suicide went up, instances of domestic abuse went up, instances of people going to the doctor with depression went up.
Mhm.
And it just, for me, as a healthcare professional, it highlighted just how much we, we can't rely on doctors and pharmaceuticals to give us health. And
Yeah.
I've said this for about 7 or 8 years now. The job of a GP and most standardized medicine is their job is to make you die later. Their job is not to make you healthy. Their job is to stop you dying sooner.
There's no money in that
So
for them.
yeah, so they're not in the health business. They are in the business of making you die later and give you as many drugs along the way as we can. That's their job.
Mhm. People
And
don't
it
really think about it.
sucks
Yeah.
because big pharma need doctors to get their drugs out.
Yeah.
And if you
Because
want
like,
to go down that,
then what would they do, right? If everybody just was getting cured, how are they gonna make the money? How the FDA and the drug, what would they do? So
and
like,
and this is why, like, this is why they started to legalize cannabis, because they realized the health benefits of cannabis are massive. So if we make this legal and we make this taxable, all of a sudden we're not going to lose out on revenue. So I mean,
methods.
don't get me wrong. There's people that are better educated than me to actually talk about the whole
Yeah,
nutraceutical versus pharmaceutical. There's
yeah,
people better qualified and people better informed than me. But it doesn't mean I don't have my theories and my own little conspiracies.
yeah. I get it. We know it's not. They didn't do it for anybody's well-being. It's like, what can we get out of it? I told somebody one day. I said, if they could do it with any other drug, they do it too. If they could make that work and they get money from it, you know. Like I think that, like, say for instance, prostitutes. I don't think you don't want them prostituting because you care about their morals, and that's not right. I think it's because you can't tax that. You know what? You know
Yes,
what I mean?
because they're
You
it's
know, in
because they're
Vegas
getting
they
paid
do,
cash.
right? Because Vegas they have that little, thing going where they can, and they have to do taxes. So I truly think it's, if they can't tax it, then you can't do it. So
Pretty
yeah,
much. That's pretty much exactly where the rule is. If we
yeah,
can tax it, it can be legal. If not, yeah. I mean, you look at the deaths that are related to smoking and alcohol. Like alcohol is still one of the biggest killers around the planet, but
yeah,
it's a taxable drug. Well, technically, it's a taxable poison,
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
because what it does in, like, once you get above a certain level of alcohol in the body, it ruins it,
mhm,
ruins your body.
yeah. I had my
But
friend.
because they can tax it and because people have made money off it.
Yep. They're gonna, like, there's a full circle that they get money that way, and they're gonna get money off of you being sick and you coming back, and we're gonna try to save that liver, but they're not, because you're alcoholic, so they're not going to give you another. It's
And
just
what was it I saw the other day? There was a quote. I think it was from Bob Marley, and he said, there's a herb for every function in the body already out there on the planet. Like nature has all the medicine that you need.
yep. That's what I believe too. It's like animals and then humans, like we heal ourselves. We'll naturally, like when we cut ourselves, you see, we'll heal, and I think it, like, body like takes care of itself. And I think it becomes a problem when you start putting stuff in, you know what I mean, that's not natural with the body, all the poisons and stuff, and then you crap on the earth. So you crap on the earth is gonna give you crap back and mix up the whole, you know. I was just talking about this the other day, and I happen to have a picture over here of Bob Marley. Billy shoots pictures up there.
The stars and the universe are aligned.
Right? Been happening quite often here. I'm telling you, something going on. It's 2021. Yeah, but
Well,
yeah, I truly
this is
believe
it,
that.
and it's funny because a lot of my journey, like I've now really started to embrace spiritualism, and I've started to embrace God, but not religion.
Right.
And this confuses a lot of people, and I don't feel justified that I need to explain it.
Right.
But as soon as I tell them, look, religion forces you to follow someone else's teaching,
Exactly.
the whole spiritual side of it forces you to find your own lessons. And
Yep.
it, what you to your core believe to be right or wrong, that's that's how you should govern yourself.
Hmm. I
And
believe you. That's
and
what I.
and that's the difference. That's the difference between the two. So a real good, well, a good series of books that gave me a huge perception shift was the books by Neil Donald Walsh, The Conversations with God.
Did Neil McDonald.
Walsh, Walsch, I think.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, Conversations with God. There's three books, and I've sent it to a few of my kind of like what I call like my hippie friends, and I'll say to them, look, just go through book one, because I'm a very auditory type of person, so I love my audio books. And when you listen to the audiobook, it's brilliant because the author is writing the questions and asking the questions of God, and the replies come back from a different voice, and you have a male and a female replying as God, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Definitely got to
And
get the audio.
yeah, honestly, the audio, like obviously some people do better with an actual book. I don't, considering the amount I know, I've not read that many books when it comes to the actual like human body side of things, because I don't do well with an actual physical book. But if I listen to it, I'm much better. Um, so for some people, they will prefer a Kindle. For some people, they'll prefer the actual physical book, and other
Yeah.
people will need the audio. So find your medium for whichever way works for you. But honestly, I was hooked, absolutely hooked.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out because I'm like a book person. I just like the feel of like I don't know if you ever seen Beauty and the Beast, like when he took her into that room, but
Yes, yes,
big
I
all
do.
books. That's my dream
Yeah,
library. I want to that with a ladder and have to like, but
yeah.
I,
I wrote a whole blog post about how Disney screwed up a generation because they created the fallacy that women want a nice romantic guy. And then when you get out into the real world, when you grow up, as a man, you're kind of like, well, why are women attracted to the bad guy that's literally just going to fuck them, mess them around, not call them again? And, you're sitting there as a really nice guy who would be genuine, who would be loyal, who would treat them well. Why
right.
is why is the woman not attracted to me? Why are they attracted to the arsehole? And Disney has a huge part to play in that. And I didn't realize it until I really started looking into it. I didn't realize how much Disney kind of messed me up as well, personally, because I
I
was
guess
under the impression that, women want the great, big, nice, grand, romantic gestures. And then you grow up and you're like, why do women like being choked and restrained?
you really think about it, it's like, what's that about? It's like a fine line there. I don't know. I'm a woman too, and I can't really because it's the opposite. Let me think before I speak. I don't know because women also like growing up. I had the same question like, why do guys always go for the how can I say this better words? Oh, screw it, the bitch, the whore, the loose one, versus
the,
I'm kind
the
of quiet.
morally question.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
come up with
cute.
I've come up with a phrase for that person, by the way. the morally loose or the morally questionable.
Right? But like that's how it was at the time, and that's what they it was. So like you want the fast one. Like me, I'm kind of like timid, you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm cute, and but they want the ends. I don't do all that other, that hollering or whatever. I guess to each its own. But yeah, I didn't get that. I was like, seemed like they always want those girls, those fast ones that just be out there doing whatever versus nice sweet girl. And so we have those thoughts too. Now, which I think the same thing. I think actually, yeah, I think the same way actually. Hmm. I think, but yeah, I
But
don't
you've got
know.
to, but you've got to ask yourself, like, where does that conditioning come from that you have to be the nice, sweet person? Why can't you be just yourself?
Oh
If
yeah, I'm
you're
not nice.
angry at something, why can't you be angry at something?
Yeah,
Why do you have to be nice? Why do you have to try to please everybody?
yeah, yeah.
You
Kind of
know,
grew out
and
of that.
and
But,
yeah,
I'm still morally not loose.
and the trouble is, it's a hard,
Yeah,
very, very hard habit to break. And this is what a lot of my guys are struggling with is, they've come from programming that says they have to be a nice guy. They have to please everybody. They have to, make sure everyone else is looked after before they look after themselves. You have to be selfless to be able to give to other people. And I'm spinning that on their heads now. I'm like, no, that's bullshit. Because how can you pour from an empty cup? If you're constantly giving and giving and giving and giving and
yeah,
giving,
yeah,
how can you give anymore? Eventually, you're just going to burn out, and then you're going to explode one day, and you're going to say something or do something to someone really close to you that you're going to regret because you you've just given and given and given and given so much that when there's nothing left to give, all you have left is all you know, which is I'm going to allow everything that I've been suppressing and I've not told anyone for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in some cases. And it's crazy.
do you think that's how
Crazy what we're doing.
sometimes you see somebody that like they're fine and then one day it's up and gone and killed
Yes.
somebody or their wife or something and threw
Yes.
them somewhere? You're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
That's what happens a lot of
Uh,
times, huh?
and it's I think it's one of those things that if somebody's been suppressing a huge amount of, like, you take homosexuality is a perfect example. Somebody who's been raised in a very, very strict household of men have to be with women, men have to be married, have a house, have kids by the time they're 30. They have all these expectations. There's no space for that kid, if they do fancy the same sex, to actually say that because they're going to fear the fear of rejection will override
Yeah.
your true self. And this is what I'm finding with a lot of people, and this is what I found in myself as well, is, you know, that fear of rejection is so strong in some cases that you will actually self-sabotage your own success so that you don't get rejected by your family. And this is something I learned from T. Harv Eker, who wrote the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And he said one of the biggest reasons that people fail to make a lot of money is because subconsciously, and their deep rooted subconscious belief is that if they become super successful, their family is just going to reject them because no one else in their family they've not broken the intergenerational link of poverty. So if you're going to be the first one to break out of your family to actually be successful and make a lot of money, if you're fearing rejection over how much you value success, you will always find a way to keep yourself accepted by your family if that is your overriding belief system.
A lot of sense. The mind, I tell you.
Honestly, and this is why I like, when guys come to me to say, oh, look, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want to do this, I'm like, okay, why? If you can't tell me why you want to change your body shape, I can't help you. If you're not willing to do the work, I can't help you. If you're not willing to open up to emotions, I can't help you. If you're not willing to sit and talk and potentially cry during a session, I've had a lot of men cry on me over the years. I've had a lot of women cry on me over the years. Um, but if you're not willing to do that and you're not willing to trust me to that extent, I won't take you as a client. And I've fired clients before because they have their own mission. They say the right things to get onboarded, and then when they don't do the right things during the course of their program, I'm like, look, you're out. You're taking the spot of somebody who is actually willing to do the work. So beat it. Harsh, but you know, there's a
Makes
little bit of me that enjoys firing a client. Don't get me wrong.
fired.
I'd rather they stayed with me and got their results. But if you're gonna come to me for advice and then ignore it, get the fuck
Right.
out of my space. Like, don't undermine me. Like, that's not why I'm here. Like, I'm a professional in my field. Don't take the piss out of me.
Right. They came to you. That's why it makes no sense. Like you came here.
Yeah,
But you
but
didn't do the
but
work.
yeah, this is what annoys me about personal trainers who let their clients walk all over them. And I've seen it for years and years and years and years where clients dictate the session to their trainer. And I will listen. I look at whatever facility I go to, because I do a lot of mystery shopping for gyms, and I will go and listen, and I'll just go and listen to trainers, and I'll listen to clients, and I'll watch trainers, and I'll watch clients. And the amount of trainers who are not confident within themselves to say to their client, no, this is what you need. I know that's what you want, but here's what you need. There's a whole there's a whole culture now of you can't say no to people because if you offend them, they're going to sue you.
What?
It's not quite to that extreme, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people now, they're frightened to tell the truth to people
Mhm.
because people can't handle it and people can't accept that what they need to hear will actually really benefit them.
Yeah.
So people are getting less and less and less truthful, and they don't do the whole cruel to be kind thing anymore. They just
Right.
don't tell the truth anymore. They would rather
Right.
tell people what they want to hear and still be liked rather than tell them what they need to hear and be respected.
Right.
And that's something I learned from Don Shula, of all people, that it's better to be true to your values and to be respected than what it is to be false and not live to your values and be liked. Because ultimately, your integrity is what people will remember.
Yep.
And
Very true.
if you can't, like, I saw a quote the other day and I loved this, and it was, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do.
Hmm.
And I thought, do you know what? I love that. I
Give it to my son.
genuinely love that.
Yeah. Always on what he's going to do.
Yeah, and I can't remember. I'm really annoyed. I can't remember. I saw it on Instagram somewhere, but I can't remember who posted it. I'm actually really annoyed about that. But I thought, you know what, that is outstanding because it's so true.
Yeah.
And I've done this work, like when I've managed personal trainers before as well. I'm like, don't tell me what you're going to do, show me what you've done. And if you can't show me what you've done, why haven't you done it? And is it because I haven't told you how to do it well enough, or is it because you just didn't do it? And it's a tough question to have to ask people, particularly like, because when people pay me and then I question and I challenge their integrity, when they tell me, "Oh, Dean, I'm not losing weight. I'm following your plan." I'm like, well, over 15 years, the people that have genuinely stuck to the plan have had this scalable set of results. So, is it the plan or is it you?
Mm.
And it's a tough question to ask. And a lot of trainers are fearful of that question because if you're challenging someone who's paying you, the fear is that they're going to run away and take their money to someone else who will just let them walk all over them.
Yeah, see, that's just like reinforcing, like, I don't know, because that always trickles down to like the youth, you know what I mean? And it's kind of just people just lying to one another, not being honest, and that whole fake and, just coddling people and not helping, you know. I don't really like that type of like, why can't you hear the truth? Like when I tell people, I ask them, I'm like, no, I'm asking you the truth because I want to know. Like I do. It's not a trick question. I want to know the truth. I'm not going to ask you. But that's me, I'm not going to ask you. And then I have this feeling in me like you're not telling me. And usually the person isn't, because even though I'm saying it's okay, they're still feeling like if I tell you, you're not going to like it. I'm like, well, if you put it that way, you put too much energy in making it sound like it's going to be, delivery is everything, just deliver it, nicely. Watch, delivery can make
I'm
it.
not being funny, but the amount of times I've said to my friends, dude, I love you to bits, but you cannot wear that shirt. It's disgusting.
Right? You gotta let them know, right? You care.
Yeah, because I
Yep,
don't want to go out with my friends and I don't want them to look like shit. Like
right.
if I've dressed nice, I've put a suit on and we're going out. Like I don't want my friends to go out in jeans and ripped jeans and a t-shirt. I'm like, dude, come on, like I've made an effort.
See, that's that good. That stuff right there. That builds relationships. It's like not like if you hear perfect and good stuff all the time. That's not a real relationship because people don't get along all the time, or you don't say whatever each other wants to hear all the time. And I think that's where how you grow and you get through stuff by like having to have some sort of disagreements or conflict or how to, versus
Well,
yeah, great, great.
and this is the thing, and this is what I love. Like when you create an environment of a safe space and zero judgment, it allows people to actually give proper feedback,
Yeah,
and you can actually say, okay, it's a good idea, but here's where I see issues, and I feel that issues are going to arise because bang, 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 bang. So you can be objective and you can tell the truth. It's like we had our Monday morning catch up today, and I said, okay, here's what I'm having problems with. Because I'm the last one to join the team, they've already got their systems in place and that they kind of have what they have. And I've come in with fresh eyes and I've looked at the uh, design of a certain board. I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, this says this and this says this, but it doesn't translate and it doesn't correspond to that. So, would it not make sense if we did this and then did that? And then they kind of stepped back and kind of got a bit defensive at first because it's their system and they've built it. I said, well, okay, but if you've never ever used the system before, which I haven't, what would you think? And then they kind of sat on it. Uh, yeah, maybe that could be improved. But because we've created that environment of a safe space where it's not a personal attack, it's a functionality thing. I felt okay, to be honest, to say, look, I'm not finding this particularly easy because this doesn't flow into that. And it would make more sense if that could flow onto that sheet and blah, 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 blah. And they were like, yeah, okay, yeah, that works. But if we hadn't created that culture, I would not have been able to say that because I would have felt like the new guy coming in and shitting on their
yeah,
creation. But because we have that safe space, it made it okay for me to tell the truth,
yeah.
which a
That's
lot of
pretty.
places don't do. And a lot of businesses don't create that.
Yeah, which they need to. I think that thing you got right there could be carried in all kinds of anything where you amongst people you have to work with. I think it should. Definitely with children, they use like
Oh,
and how to
massively.
communicate with
But
one
then,
another.
but I also think that everybody on the planet should read Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Like somebody keeps telling me
because
about the book. Now I know I need to read it.
it's it's phenomenal. It what it's done for me is it's made me take it rather than react with anger. It's given me the mindset of, okay, what what's happened with them during the course of their day, their month, their year, their life, for them to react with that much anger that it's directed at me that they've known for like this much time.
Mhm.
What's happened? So then, when you actually approach a situation with a desire of seeking to understand rather than just flat out reacting, it changes how you perceive it. And I'll tell you what, it makes you a lot less stressed,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
less stressed. But I think everybody on the planet should read that book because if everybody would seek to understand
Hmm.
before reacting,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have a lot of the conflict you have now. You wouldn't have a lot of the, well, there's nothing more to say on it. That's it. You just wouldn't have it.
Yeah, it's true. I think I tried to apply something like that one time to just trying to look at all aspects of like racism and like racist you know, like like racist I don't like using terms like racist like Europeans. I hate when I have to like say black, white. No, it's so weird. But I wish I could just refer to people as humans, but since it's the world we live in, so I use that to, to really like try to create a thought of like now you realize that someone that has been taught and ingrained, you know, to think that way, if you just really think about it, because all that other person always see is like what you're doing, what you've done, what you're doing, the heinous things, you know what I mean, the anger and just all that energy and where it's coming from, and it never really makes one sit back and think like, wait, that's really, after all this time it's still going on, it makes you at some point you gotta want to really try to process it because you can never fix it or ever do anything even close to it if you don't even try to understand it yourself. You know what I mean? Because you're on the other end of it and you're like, what do I need to understand? We're dying, we're doing this, we're doing that. But you'll never truly really be. That's why everybody has to change. You can't expect change and then not be willing to change yourself to truly be able to receive it and go about it in the right way, I think. And so,
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
this
that's
this
hard
is
for
why
somebody to.
this is why I love the Chinese yin yang symbol because it demonstrates opposites and you need opposites to work as a whole, right?
Mm-hmm,
So if you've got somebody who's directing just a huge, hideous amount of anger, if you also direct a huge, hideous amount of anger,
mm-hmm.
you're both just growing apart. Like it's never going
Yep,
to happen. But
nothing
if
gets
you can
done.
greet that, yeah, if you can greet that anger with love and understanding,
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's a change in the shift. And I've like because of the gyms have shut down and because my income stream has been disrupted, I've started delivery driving for Amazon, and it's incredible the amount of hate that I face every day because the roads in the UK are like this big, and because you're driving a van which is like this big, you have to block roads off, right? You have no choice. And the amount of hate that comes my way because I have to block a road off or do whatever I have to do to get parcels out, right, it's insane. And it did build up and it did affect me. And I did take on that as much as I did my best to reflect the negative energy, we're still human. And my kind of moment of enlightenment was one day I decided it was a good idea not to drop kick somebody. That was my spiritual growth. I was like, I did so well not to drop kick that guy straight in the face. Yeah, you've done well there. You've done really well. But what I found, so there was one guy that was giving me so much shit one day, and I actually asked him. I said, "Look, dude, what's happened for you to have to direct so much anger at me, who's going to be in your way for a maximum of 2 minutes out of 24 hours? Like, seriously, what's happened? Like, I just genuinely don't understand why you're angry at me.
And
What's
that's what
happened?
I
And then he sat in his car and he was like, oh, and it just completely diffused the situation. And I said, look, dude, whatever's happened, I'm really sorry, but I'm literally dropping this parcel into that letterbox and I'm gone. Like, I still don't understand why you're so angry at me. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it.
see.
But it would have been easy for
That's
me to react to him and just go,
yeah,
like, to go back at him with that same
get
thing.
into it. Yeah.
And then I had to remember, like, just seek to understand. Like, why? Why is he doing this?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a reflection of me personally. What he's directing at me is a reflection of him and what he's gone through.
Yeah.
I'm just unfortunately in the way. So, just be the mirror, just
Yeah.
reflect
You
it
didn't
back
know
and
you
say,
could have been his first encounter like that and made him like think like, you
I
know?
hope so. I hope so. But the thing is, like, as a delivery driver, you're an easy target because the chances of ever seeing that person again are like slim to none. So people get a little bit braver when they know they're never going to see someone again.
Unless you get
So
a
they do
psychopath.
get yeah, so they do get a bit more brash and they do get a bit more, aggressive, and they do get a bit more actually expressing how they're actually feeling. It's just a shame it's misdirected at a poor innocent driver who's just trying to do his job.
True, true. We're like, we're gonna get you a therapist right away. Okay, just calm down. How do you do
I
it?
was like,
Right.
I should start doing that, carrying around business cards for therapists.
That's a really cool actually disable anger or someone that's coming in unless it's physical, hopefully, never goes there, but
I hope so.
cool way. Yeah. But that is I like that right there, just to if one could actually just take that and do what you did right there with that guy, or just kind of be like, you gonna be all right. And
I,
just
I
use
mean,
that
don't yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, my first instinct is, like, go back at the guy. That's my very first instinct.
approach.
So I have to tell myself, breathe, chill. It's not you personally, just chill.
Right? But
And then
yeah,
yeah, but then you can actually start once you've taken that breath, you can start the conversation and you can actually say what's happened, and it goes wherever it goes.
yeah. Yep, that's part of that thing I call love. I said I think love can change the world and heal the world. I think
Oh,
that's the
huge. Yeah.
yeah. Then they were like, well, what about all the diseases? I said, like I said, if there's love, it will heal the world because then you won't have people giving you these diseases. So I'm gonna be quiet. It's true. It's like who would want you to put all these toxins in your body if they love you, and and everybody's getting along and values life. It will literally heal the world if everybody just
Yeah.
love.
See, I don't remember there being many cases of you know way back when, when we were proper cave people. I don't think there was too many stress related, you know, anxiety, depression type issues. Because back then your only stress was, do we have enough food? Do we have fire? And do we have shelter? But trouble is, we got really smart really quick, and then we invented all of these different forms of stresses.
Yeah,
And us as humans, we are very, very, very good at playing out potential worst case scenarios that aren't even real.
yeah,
And what happens is when your brain perceives a stress, your body will react in exactly the same way as if you're about to have a fight. It will release all of the same hormones, it will release all of the same enzymes, it will release all of the same chemicals as if you're about to have a fight. even though you've only imagined a bad scenario in your head. That's how quick and how efficient the body is at actually dealing with stress. Like your body's an incredible machine.
Yeah.
Like your body will adapt and will overcome so many issues. It's phenomenal. It really is. The body's just it's one of the most ingenious pieces of engineering this planet's ever seen. Like your body's incredible. Like your body has the smallest, like nano-sized power stations inside the mitochondria. It's incredible when you start getting into biochemistry and how your body actually makes energy. Oh, it's phenomenal. And when you appreciate the real small, like nano-sized mechanisms that are actually keeping your body ticking over, all of a sudden you don't want to put yourself in that stressful state because you understand the knock-on effect of it. And when you are super stressed and you're super inflamed and you're killing off tissue inside your gut because that stress level is so high from imaginary events,
Mm-hmm.
that's yes. Hippocrates said it 2,000 years ago in Greece that all disease starts in the gut. We're now starting to prove it.
Yeah.
He said it 2,000 years ago,
People can
right?
really and really kill you, like your own self,
Yeah,
your body.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing. And if you're constantly feeding that cycle of actual stress, imaginary stress, actual stress, imaginary stress, actual stress, imaginary stress, your hormones are like this all day. They're up and down, and your body doesn't know which way's up. And when your body doesn't know which way's up, it screws your metabolism. And when you're eating in that stress state, it's been proven through science and research that you don't absorb all of the nutrients from your food. If you're eating in a stress state, it's going in and it's going out because your body is perceiving the message that you're getting chased by a tiger or
Yeah, it doesn't know the difference of what's yeah.
exactly. It doesn't know the difference between if you see an email from your boss that says, I need a meeting with you straight away, or if you're getting chased by a tiger, your body doesn't know the difference between the two. All it knows is that there's been a visual stress. That's it. That's all it knows is there's been a source of stress. Bang. Send out the hormones,
Yeah.
send out the chemicals, send out the enzymes. Let's get ready to either run and flee or let's get ready to gear up and have some fisticuffs.
Yeah. That's amazing. I tell people, like, why don't we learn more about our bodies? Like, we go somewhere else, you know what I mean? And somebody else knows way more about us when we can just, like, I know why they didn't teach us about, because I teach, well, I haven't taught since COVID, but I was a teacher for like 7.5 years working in school. And I used to sit there and be like, something's not right here. I was like, we don't teach kids anything. We don't teach them about the right things. I'm like, how come we don't teach them about the brain? Because I'm pretty sure they would learn completely differently if they knew what their brain could do and what it does. They'd be like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
what's that? They didn't want them to know that because you got to control it. So I was like, I see what's going on here. But I started, reading more and more and more. And I was just like, oh my, and then I felt like I knew more about myself and I knew how to control. I knew what was controlling, what was trying to control me. And I knew how to think my way out of certain things. You know what I mean? Like kind of control it or think myself out of a situation that I possibly created myself. Or I don't know. I just think we're something kind of like super beings in some way. We're just suppressed and we haven't tapped
Of
into
course
it.
we are. Of course we are. I don't
You're
know if you've ever come.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever come across the Rich Dad Poor Dad books by Robert Kiyosaki.
I like him.
He talks so much about how the school system is designed to create employees
Yeah,
and
factory.
it's designed to crush creativity. And
Yep.
this is one of the reasons that financial management in particular is not taught in schools.
Yep.
It's one of the key, I think it's probably one of, for me personally, I think financial management should be taught in schools. I think all kids should be taught how to cook in schools.
They used to
And I
back then.
think they used to, but they don't know more.
No
Why is
more.
that? It's
No wood
because
shop. Nothing.
people they want to buy they want to buy microwave meals
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because you put it in the microwave, you zap it for 2 minutes, bang,
Yep.
there's your dinner. So it's low
Yep.
nutrient food, which means you're going to cause dis-ease in the body, which means you're going to go to the doctor, which means they can sell you more drugs. It
Yep.
goes back to the whole, that
Yeah.
rabbit hole is probably a different podcast for a different time, but it all feeds from a very, what I think is a very, very outdated school system.
Yeah.
Very outdated.
Yeah. But you
Like
got the same people still trying to perpetuate the same, you know, like right now, let's get kids back in school when COVID was like for what? Oh, because they need more factory workers and the elderly people, they're out and we're just here, about taking our space. But them, they are
but you look
prime.
at how many kids now that are 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 that are YouTube millionaires.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know how to create content. They know how to engage an audience. They know how to leverage money. That you've got 14-year-old millionaires making money from playing computer games online.
Yep.
And I'm just like, wow. Like, where was this when I was 14?
Right. Right. So yeah, they have kind of surpassed here a little bit, but I think that's where the kids that slide through the cracks, or the no kid left behind, are the ones that they label special needs or give them the IEPs and stuff. When it's really just that they think a different way. It's not that they're a slower learner, and I think those probably, and then they don't get taught as much. They kind of, you know what I mean? Leave them. I watched
it
this how they would leave them on the curb and just kind of ignore. They said we teach the smart kids and leave them over there because I guess they'll be the factory. I guess so. I don't know.
they they did an experiment where what they did was they brought a whole bunch of teachers into a brand new school. They didn't know the kids, they didn't know the backgrounds. And what they did was they told the teachers the kids' locker numbers. And what they did was they told the teachers that the locker number was actually the kids' IQ. Turned out the teachers treated the kids like they were more intelligent than what they were. All the kids in this class excelled at this subject because they were treated differently, because they were treated like they were already smart and they were treated like they were already successful.
Yeah.
Teachers don't understand the power and the influence they have on these kids.
Yeah.
And if
Yep.
they were to teach every single kid like they were already respected and they were already smart and they were already successful,
Yep.
that environment of success breeds success.
Yeah.
And you create that culture of, oh yeah, like, I got this A plus, I got this A plus, oh
Yep.
I only got a B plus. And when you start having that competition compared to, oh yeah, like I smoked this many smokes or I drank this many drinks, when you have that different conversation, that's that different mindset. And when you look at people's value and people's self-worth, and this is what I do a lot with my guys, is, you know, and this is a hard question to have to ask people, and it's a difficult one for them to also answer, is do you consider yourself worthy of having the body that you want? And it's a horrible question to have to ask people, but it gives me
Makes sense.
an insight into their psyche, and it gives me an insight into their belief system. And when I can see what's happening with their beliefs, that's when I can say to them, okay, here's what we need to do. But I can't do that until I understand their belief system. And it helps. I've got a friend of mine, she says, you're just freaky psychic, but it's the whole like empath thing,
Mhm.
which I've been told by 3, 4 different people now that I'm clairsentient. I had no idea what that meant. I had to Google it, and I was like,
Yeah, I'm gonna try
okay,
that too.
I was like, okay, that's freaky, but there we go. Um, so your viewers and your listeners, if they want to find out what clairsentient is, they can Google it. I'm not going to explain it.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it too. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but it,
Like,
it basically means that I am very, very good at picking up people's emotions, their emotional state. I'm very good at picking up whether they're happy, they're sad, whether they actually genuinely want to change. I'm very good at reading body language, and I will understand what that person needs to actually feel better. And it's a gift
People are
and a
comfortable with you,
curse.
huh? People are very comfortable with you, probably too.
Yeah, and it's an ability I've had for a long time, but it's something I suppressed a lot. Kind of going through my teens and my early 20s, suppressed it a lot, and now I'm enjoying freaking people out. Like I won't lie to you, there's a little selfish bit in me that does. It's kind of like the whole Jedi thing. Like I will make you do this.
Everybody deserves a little bit of enjoyment out of, out of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not being funny,
Yeah,
but if you've got a gift, you should enjoy it and you should share it,
right,
right?
right, very much
So that's
so.
what I do now. So I tell people how they're feeling, and it just freaks them out, and
Right,
it makes me laugh. I love it.
right? Not what they want to hear. You're like,
God, that exact question is a question I get pretty much every single consultation that I do for somebody. They will always like, how, how do you know? Like, have you hired somebody to like stalk me to find this out? And I was like, no, like you've shown me this, this, and this. You've told me this, this, and this. Like your body language says this, this, and this, and your body shape tells me this, this, and this. And then they're just like, get out of my head, like go away, stop.
right? That's an actual read on somebody. You read the body, you know, everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for me, like as a personal trainer, it's been such an effective tool because it means that when somebody comes to me for a session of an evening, and let's say they've had just a hideous day at work. They've stubbed their toe on the coffee table in the morning. They were late to work because the traffic was bad. Their boss has been on their case all day. Their clients didn't show up. They didn't make the sales they needed to do. Their bosses got on their case again. They got in traffic in the way to the gym. Like that person gets to me, and if I've got like a mad session booked for them, and they walk in and they're like, I will look at them and I'll just say, boxing pads, and they'll be like, yes, please. And I will say to them, like, how do you know? Like, it's just like all the signs are there. Like you're showing me, like your body will never ever lie to me.
No.
Like I pay very little attention to what your mouth tells me. I would rather pay attention to what your body's showing me, to what your face is showing me, to the way you're breathing, to the way that you're actually, just the way your whole demeanor and your whole energy is sitting. I pay more attention to that than what you actually tell me.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, what I'm like, what you tell me is like 5% of your communication. Like the rest of it is all non-verbal.
Yeah.
And they're just like, that's freaky. That's
They're like, I gotta control that.
well, it's funny because a friend of mine, she said to me, would you please stop doing your psychic shit on me? I'm like, sorry, I'll try and turn that down. Sorry.
It's funny. That's awesome. I can tell that you are right where you're supposed to be where you started, and then you found out your niche, and then you could tell this is where you're supposed to be at. You can just completely tell because how you just not sitting there and going off of what been taught, and like, okay, you have something that is a gift that you're naturally good at. And I think that was that whole thing of you enjoying the moment, and then you got to you know
Do
all
you know
came
what
out.
I heard somewhere that somebody said to me, what's the one thing that you do that when you do it, you lose all track of time and you don't feel that you need to eat, you don't feel you need to drink, you don't feel you need to stop for a toilet break. Like, what's the one thing that you do that gets you into that state? And then I thought about it and I was like, it's when I teach and it's when I develop and it's when I give lectures and it's when I give seminars and it's when I give knowledge to people that genuinely need it. Like that is when I lose all track of time. I taught a group of personal trainers, so they qualified to become personal trainers, and I was their tutor. Um, we would start lectures at 8:30 in the morning, and we would always finish the last lecture by 5 p.m. But by 5 p.m., I kind of felt like I was just getting warmed up, and I was like, "Oh man, oh, we've got to stop. This sucks." And I could just see on their faces they were like, "Please, please, leave us alone. Stop, just stop." Like it's just too much knowledge. I'm like, "All right, sorry." So
No more
yeah,
no.
so when I find a platform where I can teach, and where, like, I can't wait until we're allowed to start meeting up and I can get back in front of people and I can start doing the seminars again and I can start doing the teaching and that kind of thing. And that's, to my core, that's what makes me genuinely happy, is is finding that. So when I find, podcasts like yours where you give people like me a platform to reach more people and potentially help more people, I will always jump at the chance to give knowledge about a certain subject, or maybe a little bit of knowledge about a lot of subjects, and things like that. So thank you so much for having me on, and allowing me to talk.
Yeah. There's no problem. That's why I'm here. I just, like you said that, I told somebody the other day. I said, give people a place to come and use their voice, a platform to come in. Because I talk about so many different things that I was just like, that's just what it is. It's a place for anybody that has a voice that wants to use it. That's what I supply. Because I want to keep it simple. I'm like, well, it's for this and I do that. No, place for voices, voices of courage, right? Because it's not
That's
easy
it.
to do this.
It's it's not at all. And like, on my Instagram, I did a post on there, and it was one of them big, like, 10-minute Instagram IGTV things, and it was about the time that I got mugged and I got beaten up. I had 4 fractures on my skull on this side. I lost the hearing in my right ear. I lost my sense of smell. It took me a year to learn how to walk and run again. Um, and yeah, in that video, I talked about, how I thought about, ending it all, and how the actual night of the attack, I had a proper full on out of body experience, and it took me 10 years to put that out into the public space. 12 years, sorry, to put that out into the public space and actually feel confident enough to actually tell that story. So when I saw the name of your podcast, The Voices of Courage, I thought, okay, it's time to talk. It's time to let it out. I was like, this is cool.
So things
Yeah,
just line
thing, yeah, things align, and
up.
it's the right place, it's the right time, it's the right subject, and the title of your podcast is exactly the right title.
Wow, that's the first time anybody ever like said anything about my title, and I thought, should I change it again? And now I know that I never will.
But don't ever change it. If it felt right for you when you created it, if that voice and that intuition in your head said this is it, then that's it.
It was
Trust
something
that
before.
first.
This was it. Like before, it was like voices, a voice to be reckoned with. But I never liked it. I never liked that name because I was like, well, I'm kind of like that sounds like I should be like voice to be, and I'm not really like that. So yeah,
It's conflict. A voice to be reckoned with is conflict in my eyes. So yeah,
hmm
good change.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
change.
Someone adding up to me. I was like, I'm not really. You listen to it, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm not really sounding like I am one to be reckoned with, but my voice isn't really coming on that way. But courage, yes, yeah, I like it too. Thank you. Thank you so much. And forgive me for the other day. I was like, oh, he's gonna hate me. He's already going to lunch. I was like, it just okay, all right. I was like in the room.
It's a
In there, you're like, oh, dinner.
it's all right. Technology falls down sometimes. It's all good.
Yeah, yeah. But it all worked out, and thank you for sharing with the audience, and then just you know, covered a lot, and I think a lot of men can listen to this and listen to you and feel okay, because some men are on this journey and becoming more comfortable with talking and taking care of themselves, and I support it, so I'm all for it because we all need it. Just you guys get it a little differently, and I like that you have support groups for each other.
We do, it's something that I'm seeing a little bit more and more is that support group and that support network, and it's slowly we're shedding the stigma about actually opening up and actually talking, but it needs to happen sooner. Like male suicide is still one of the biggest killers of men, and I would I saw again I saw another post and it said I'd rather listen to your problems and I'd rather listen to you than attend your funeral. And I thought, you know what, that's incredible. And I thought, I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone who wants to have a conversation, because I've been in that headspace where it would be so much easier to just not be here, and I've been there and I've felt it, and it still makes me feel emotional now. Like I can feel it behind my eyes when I say it. It's it's a horrible headspace to be in, because you do genuinely think it would just be so much easier and it'd be so much better if I just disappeared off this planet. It'd be so much easier. But I know that when I had my out of body experience, there was no guides there for me. There were no angels there for me. There was no big bright white light. And when I look back now, I realize it's because there's still stuff I have to do. Like there's still a message I need to put out. There's still teaching that I need to give back before I'm allowed to go. And this is my mindset now: is I have to give back. Like I've been given a gift of being able to teach, and I've been given a gift of being able to interpret quite complex information and be able to teach it quite simply. And it's not my time to disappear yet. I can't return to source yet because it's too early.
Yep, still got work to do. That's what I tell people. Still got work to do. Very much so. And you just hit I have a son. He'll be 14 tomorrow. And I try to make sure that for that very reason, that I make sure he's okay with expressing himself and all that. So because it starts at when you're younger and stuff. So yeah, I know this is a difficult time for him too. So I just try to. It's not easy because I'm being mom. I can never be dad. I never take that on. I'm single mom, and I'm just doing the best I can. But it's not easy.
It's not easy. I have plenty of friends who are single mums to boys, and they they find it so hard, so hard. So
Yeah,
you're keeping a roof over his head. You're putting food on the table. So you're doing a cracking job. You're doing a brilliant job. Don't ever sell yourself short.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I feel very blessed to have came across our paths crossed.
They
So I'm
say that
leaving.
there are no accidents.
Very true. Very true. You left me a lot to think about. Really in a really good space. Like my levels are I'm just floating right now. I have a lot of creativity to do when I get off of here. So yes,
Awesome.
yes, and you're welcome back here anytime for anything you want to share. This is your plot because it's not for me. This is for the people. So as long as you're respectful and respectful, kind, and loving, you don't have to be like loving, but respectful. you know, this is a place for all. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
I would definitely be that.
Yes. Yes. And I would
So,
love to talk.
yeah, and if your listeners have any questions about anything specifically health related or weight loss related, or how to gain muscle or lose fat or balance hormones and anything health and body related, if you want to do like a real health specific thing, we can do a health specific thing. If we
Yeah.
want to talk about, you know, plant medicine and spirituality and the kind of the real hippie kind of woo woo stuff, then we talk about that too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I would let some people ask questions, little Q&A and stuff, interactive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, most definitely. Most definitely. Do you have like can you let them know like if you have any social media or anything where they could follow you and check you out?
Yes, so my Instagram is probably where I'm most active. So you'll find me at Coaching for Men on Instagram. And I also have a website which is coachingformen.net.
Okay, okay. And I'll put that in the notes too of the show. And yeah, it's most definitely gotta have you back. I had a great time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. This is Dean Rahaman.